Hi and welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday. Hey, what's up you guys? We're back to our regular schedule, back from CHA, and today I have a coloring technique video for you, and we'll be using colored pencils. The stamp I'll be using today for the project is Valentine Petals, which is a stamp set by Saturated Canary. I'll also be using some berries by Magnolia, and they are number B-DB12. They're called Berries Readily. An assortment of Prismacolor pencils, as well as 2 paper stumps and some odorless mineral spirit. Mine is in a bottle like this. A pair of fine tip scissors, mini glue dots or glossy accents, whichever you prefer. Your regular adhesive, foam adhesives, jet black archival ink by Ranger, a distressing tool, and a stamp positioner like the Stamp-A-Majig. The 2 pattern papers I'm using today are from the Lovebirds collection by Doodlebug. This one's called Swack, or Sealed with a Kiss, and Heartbeat. As for the dimensions of the papers in the cardstock, the card base will be 6 by 12 that we folded in half at the 6 inch mark. A piece of white cardstock that measures 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. The Heartbeat paper is cut to 5.5 by 5.5. The Swack piece of paper is cut down to 4.5 by 5. And finally, a second piece of craft cardstock that measures 4 by 6. We're going to start by stamping our girl with the jet black archival ink onto craft cardstock. And it doesn't matter where you stand because we'll cut her out. I'm also going to stamp the same girl onto the Swack piece of pattern paper, because we're going to cut out the little girl, but I want the petals to fall on the ground and I don't want to have to cut around them on the piece of craft paper. There we go. And it doesn't matter if this goes over the line because we're going to cut her out and put her on there. I just wanted to have the petals down here. And while we're at it, we're going to add our sentiment right now. And for this I'm going to use the stamp positioner, or the Stamp-A-Majig. And I will ink up the sentiment stamp, butt that up against the stamp positioner onto my imaging sheet, and then transfer the imaging sheet onto that piece of paper, like so. Reposition it the way I want it. Let me zoom in. So this is the imaging sheet. I will take my repositioner, or the T-square, butt that against the imaging sheet, hold the paper in place with the stamp positioner, remove the imaging sheet, and stamp again, making sure that I am flush in that corner here, and stamp. Voila! Perfect placement. So I'm going to set this aside. We're going to work on coloring our little girl. So we're going to start with the face. I'm going to give it a base coat. First I'm going to make sure that my pen or my pencil is sharpened properly. And I'm going to give it a base coat with the light peach. I'm going to move on to the peach color pencil, and I'm going to start giving a little bit of a shade right here and next to the ear. Her neck, which is very small, is going to get full on peach, And I'll start darkening around the hairline. And of course the shading is not going to be very pronounced because again we're coloring with on craft cardstock. I'm also going to give it a little shade here around the nose. I'm just going to darken the area here just to emphasize the nose area, and maybe under the brow, like so. And then I'm going to go darker around the hairline with the beige sienna. Next to the ear like that. And like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the lighter value, which is light peach, and I'm going to go over the whole thing, softening those lines. See, the first pass will be with my lighter value, and at this point I just want to color everything. Again, I'm not pressing really hard, just with a very light hand. Obviously, as you can see, I went over the black lines inside of it. I'm not using a light color, so it's not such a big deal. I did, though, make sure that I didn't go over the outer line right here. I'm going to take the dark umber and start by darkening from the part in the middle here outwards. And I'm going to use a flicking motion like I usually do with the Copics. So this is the first pass. I'm going to take the light umber again and just flick from the middle into the dark brown. And that's going to even out everything. Trying to smooth the pencil marks. Now, we're not using, at this point, again, like I said, this is the first method. We're not using the OMS for this part. So with just your colored pencil, you're able to achieve some sort of a smooth coloring, as smooth as possible. It will never be as smooth as if you are using OMS, but it is pretty darn close. So I'm going to keep on doing her hair. I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to move on to her shirt, which the base will be white, and you'll see the whole thing pop when we put on the white, because white on craft cardstock is totally delicious. So again, I'm going with a very light hand. Of course, I want to do her little tongue here in red. And I'm going to move on to, actually I'm going to dot her sweater first. And for this I'm going to use the red as well as a blue, which I'm sharpening right now. So I'm going to alternate between the red and the blue. So now I'm going to do her skirt in red. For the skirt, to do some type of shading, I'm going to use the light brown that I used for the hair. And I'm just going to darken up on this side here, just very lightly. Like this. And behind the opening here. And on this side, I could have used a darker brown, come to think of it. But for now, I'm gonna use this, and then I'll go over with something else later on if I feel like I need it. I'm assuming this is the top of her tights and the bottom. That's how I see it anyway. So I'm going to do that in blue and red. Her eyes are going to be light brown. So I'm going to go around here, which would be the irises, with the brown. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are two catch lights in her eyes. This is how the stamp designer drew the girl. I'll show you what I mean in a second. That little dot right here and the one inside the pupil, these are called catch lights, and these are usually a reflection of the light from an outside source, and these should be left white. The only thing though is that I want to differentiate that light with the white of her eyes. So I'm going to use a very light blue for the catch lights and a white for the white of her eyes. So here's the white of her eye. So this is around the iris. Same thing on the other side. Like so. And then I'm going to use PC 1086, which is sky blue light, for the catch lights. Now this is just going to give us just enough emphasis so that we actually see the catch light, like so. Okay, and now the last thing that we need to do is color the boots. Alright, so the boots are done. I'm not going to do the petals on here, but I will color them on this blue paper. And I'm just going to take, I'm going to alternate between, I have pink here, which is PC 926 Carmine Red. And I will shadow with the Scarlet Red. So at this point, this is where I would start giving some highlights with my white pencil. And I'm going to give some on the hair, right here. Just a few marks where the light would hit the hair, and I can tell that my my lead is going to come apart. And maybe a few accents here in the middle of the hair. So all of a sudden you see the deep colors on the sides and then the lighter value in the middle. So I would do the same here. The one caution though about this is that try not to put too many. Just because it becomes, if you put too many, it's overbearing. It's too much. So you just want to add some in strategic spots where you think the light would hit some areas like full on. So obviously I would put some here, a bit here in the middle, and obviously on the top of her boot, the other one as well, on each side, like so. And maybe on top here and here. Right here. So it's just a few, you know, highlights to emphasize where the light is going to hit your drawing. What I started doing now, after all of that was done, the highlighting and the base coat of my colored pencil coloring, if you want to call it that way, I started highlighting with, not highlighting, but shadowing with a black pencil and a paper stump and some Gamsol, or odorless mineral spirit, which I've put in a little glass jar like that. And we do sell this at the store, so no worries there. So basically what I do, because I've had a lot of problems recording this video, I'm not sure if I've already showed you or not, so I'm doing that all over again. And you can sort of see the difference between, from this point downwards, this has been shadowed with the black pencil. The top has not. So if I zoom in, you can sort of tell. You see here all the shadowing on the skirt, on her leggings, the tights, the boots. This has all been shadowed or darkened with the black colored pencil and OMS. So I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm going to show you on right underneath here, right underneath the arms. So what I do is I take the black pencil and I just put a little bit of the black close to the arms, and then I'm going to dip the paper stump into the OMS, and I'm going to start walking that black towards the center of her shirt, like this. And that will create a smooth shadow on her shirt, like this. It's very striking, very beautiful, and it adds a lot of depth to your coloring, I find. So there you can see, let me zoom in as close as I can without being too blurry. You see that? this is how easy it is to shadow a drawing with black colored pencil. So I'm going to keep on doing that, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I'm done with the shadowing, and I completely forgot about her cheeks. So I'm going to give her a nice little rosy cheek on each side here. Very subtly here. And I'm going to take my lightest face value, which was the light peach, and I'm going to go over that part here. Just to soften that up. I don't want her to have cheeks as if she would have gone out into the cold like we have today. I just want to have a healthy little glow. So I'm just using the pink that I use for the rose and softening this up. I'm not happy about her cheek on this side here, so I'm reworking that. There. So there she goes. Now we're going to cut around her, and we're going to start putting the card together. We're not done. Obviously we didn't do the 2 buttons on the boots and the little buttons on the skirt and her hair tie. That is because I want to add this at the end, because I have 2 different ways of doing it, and I want to show you both. One of them has to have time to dry, so we're going to keep that for the end. And we're back. So I fussy cut my little girl, as you can see, and I just happen to like fussy cutting. Some people don't. So I was able to cut inside here and inside both her legs, but you really don't have to. The way she's going to be glued onto the paper will be on foam dots right over this part, and it looks so cute. I love that blue paper against the craft cardstock coloring. I just love it. I also took a bit of the lighter brown pencil, and I just did a bit of shading right here. Not, you know, anything fancy. I didn't even use the GEMS of the OMS for that. I just scribbled around it, and that was it. So before I go ahead and glue her to this, we're going to attach the whole card together. What I wanted to show you also is how to add some metallic accent if you don't have a metallic pen. I happen to have one, and normally I would just color the buttons and the little buttons on her skirt. But if you don't have one, and you happen to have some sort of shimmer spray or even liquid pearls, which I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to put a little dab of this onto a piece of cardstock, and here, let me close up. Okay, and I'm going to use an aqua painter with a fine tip. Whoop, the wrong one. This one. An aqua painter with a fine tip. I'm going to try and get it as dry as possible, and I'm just going to pick up a bit of that perfect pearl and color. If you want, you can dab like a glob of perfect pearls right in the middle. I was just trying to get the X, or to retain the X in the middle of the button, but I wasn't able to. I was too sloppy. And then I'm going to use a tiny bit here on her skirt. And I could have used directly from the bottle, but I didn't trust myself to have just a little bit of accent on the buttons, because sometimes you squeeze just a little bit and a lot comes out. So that way we just have a little bit of metallic accent. I would encourage you though to wash your brush right away after you've used liquid pearls. So there's our metallic button and the little button on her skirt. The last thing we need to do is to add some berries to her hair bows. And for this I'm going to use the Magnolia, what did we say they were? Berries Redley. Let's see. I'm just going to snip off a little one here. See how that looks. That's kind of cute. I like that. It suits her. So I'm going to snip off another one here. Like that. And for this I'm going to use a glossy accent. There. Ooh, I like her. She's cute. Of course this stamp, you know, has a lot to do with it. But all in all, I like the coloring that I was able to achieve with the colored pencils. Again, you don't have to necessarily shade with the darker or with the black pencil and OMS, odorless and mineral spirit, but I like the depth that it gives to the drawing or to the image. But it could have been left as is before the shadowing. The white, although the highlighting with the white I would add, because that is an easy way to add depth without having to shade. I'm sorry if this video was a little on the long-ish side, but there's no other way around it. Coloring technique video takes a long time. You do have to go through the step-by-step. So I hope that you've appreciated that. I will be back on Friday for a quick video this time around. It's our One Take Friday, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.